Hey David, what games have you actually purchased this year? I actually get that question quite a lot. And you know what? It's June, half the year is over, so I thought it might be fun to go over some games that I have personally opened up my wallet for. Games that I have purchased myself, whether they're for collector's editions or just to buy them and play them for whatever reason I have purchased them. So let's go ahead and get started.
First up, Trinity Trigger, released for the PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. Are you a fan of Secret of Mana or just classic RPGs of yesteryear? Well, then you really do owe it to yourself to play what I dare say will be called a hidden gem in just a scant few years. Taking all the best parts of Secret of Mana, but getting rid of that unending magic grind and obtuse progression, this is a super fun time that you can just pop in at the end of a long, stressful workday, and then just sit back and relax. You don't have to think too hard about the combat or the story. You can just play and immerse yourself in the rich, beautiful, lovingly crafted world. And thankfully, this really won't take you too long to beat either, so if I were you, I would really pick this up while that collector's edition is still available. Number 2, One Piece Odyssey, released for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, and PC. I will be the first to admit that I do not watch anime. Whenever it comes to television shows, I really do stick to my Victorian dramas. Programs like Downton Abbey, The Gilded Age, and Bridgerton are just much more my speed. Yeah, I know, I'm an old bitch, so sue me. That being said, I still do love my classic RPGs, especially those of the turn-based variety. And this one is made by the Dragon Quest team, so I know that it's going to be quality. And to me, this did live up to the hype. Looking just like Dragon Quest XI, but starring those One Piece characters and set in their world, I can tell you right now that I was able to thoroughly enjoy this without knowing one stitch about One Piece. The battle system is turn-based, but with its own spin, and with all your characters having different exploration abilities on the overworld, this was just an absolute joy to play. And hey y'all, if you're liking this so far, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for some more great content. And now for number 3, Fire Emblem Engage, released for the Nintendo Switch. I don't know about y'all, but whenever I play a Fire Emblem game, I want to strategize, kick ass, and take names. Not run around a schoolhouse for a year and a day blabbing on to underage students about their little teenage issues, and I think that's why I loved Engage so much. It got rid of that social sim aspect that Three Houses introduced, and instead really just focused on the battling, the overarching narrative, and the recruitment of your teammates. The game was created to introduce new players to the series, as well as being a love letter to players who have been with it for over 30 years, as the user rings to summon heroes from the past games to fight by your side once again. Number 4, Octopath Traveler 2, released for the PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. The first Octopath Traveler was an absolute gem of a throwback, introducing us to the now iconic HD 2D style, which has been copied by many games, even some of those games in the indie industry, and that just goes to show how groundbreaking that first game was. But that's also not to say that it didn't have its fair share of issues. The sequel, though, sets up to rectify all the problems, as it introduced brand new characters and set itself in a brand new world. Traditional turn-based RPGs are my bread and butter, and I hate to see them treated like an afterthought nowadays. But with the success of the series, I do hope that this shows companies that turn-based games are what we want, and that is here to stay. Number 5, Atelier Ryza 3, released for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. The Ryza series has done great things for the Atelier brand. It's brought scores of people back under the fold who have been previously dissatisfied with the series back since the PS3 days. Everything obnoxious and annoying about the series has been dropped, and with fast-paced, tactile turn-based combat and absolutely enormous Xenoblade-type zones, this is a treat. As a direct sequel to the previous 2 Ryza games, you will have to play those to fully understand what's going on. But even as a standalone game, it stands on its own 2 feet by introducing new characters, allowing you to visit locations new and old, and also having story recaps of those previous games just in case you'd forgotten anything, or skipped them. This trilogy is one of the best, and if you've been avoiding it, now is the time to come back because it's just fantastic. Number 6. 8-Bit Adventures 2. Released for the Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and PC. I am a retro gamer at heart first and foremost. I grew up on the NES, SNES, and Game Boy, and I love turn-based titles, as well as that old school aesthetic. So what if we could take a game that really could have been produced back in the early 90s, but then add in 2020 modern quality of life features, a riveting storyline, fun characters, and a sweet but simple battle system? I'm all about it. This is the only indie RPG on this list, and that should be saying something about its quality. So if you're like me, and you're a lover of retro RPGs, which I know many of you out there are, then do not pass this gem up. Number 7. Trails to Azure. Released for the PS4, Switch, and PC. While first originally released over on the PSP like a decade ago, that version received an unofficial translation patch, which I played through back in the day here on the channel. So, it's really saying something that I went out and I bought the collector's edition of this game whenever it was released officially. It means a lot for me to actually buy and play a game twice. And many people, including myself, feel that the crossplay duology is the pinnacle of the Trail series. But while Zero spent quite a bit of time laying the groundwork for the story, Azure instead just hits the ground running, and it's a thrilling blast from start to finish. So if you're looking to get into this long-running series, I would definitely recommend picking up Zero and Azure while you still can. Number 8. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters, released for the PS4 and Nintendo Switch. If there is one game series that could really define my childhood, it's just gotta be Final Fantasy. I got the first one back in 3rd grade on the NES, and whenever I saw that the second one was coming out for the SNES, I just knew that I had to have that system. And then the third game was nothing short of breathtaking. Nowadays, I know that the numbering back then was all wrong and we were also missing out on 3 different entries, but now you can get all 6 classic Final Fantasy games on one cartridge, and with added quality of life features of the console versions, this is definitely the one to get. So if you've always wanted to play those first 6 classic games and you've just never gotten around to it, there really is no time like the present. Number 9. Forspoken, released for the PS5 and PC. Cue the hate train! Yeah, I know that this game had a lot of backlash when it was first released, and I'm not an idiot. But I personally just judge games based on their own merits, and I don't listen to the haters. Because as the great Taylor Swift says, the haters gotta hate. So instead, all I really do is see if the game is just, fun. And in that department, Forspoken delivered. This is a short, tight game that you can beat on a rainy weekend. In fact, it only took me like 15 hours to beat it, and yeah, that isn't a whole lot of time, but that 15 hours was jam-packed with action, and thankfully for y'all, since, it did receive so much unwarranted hate, you can now pick it up on the cheap. And number 10, Loop 8, Summer of the Gods, released for the PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PC. But David, I thought that you didn't like this game. Why are you buying it if you hate it so much? Well, let me tell you why. Number 1, it has a sweet-ass collector's edition that I could not just pass up. And number 2, I love Marvelous, I love Lunar, and I love Grandia. So if picking up this incredibly niche title allows them to have a budget to maybe create like another Lunar or Grandia in the future, then I'm just going to go ahead and take one for the team and grab it. And also, there's a big part of me that really thinks that this is going to be like a limited run and an incredibly rare game in the future. So maybe it's an investment not only in my collection, but for me and for the company itself. And finally, number 11, Final Fantasy XVI, released for the PlayStation 5. I've had a roller coaster of a ride with this game. When it first announced, I was excited because, it's another entry in the Final Fantasy series. But then I learned that it was going to be fully action-based combat, and I kinda took a 180. But then, they kept on releasing trailer after trailer and showcase after showcase, and they pretty much got me on board. But girl, let me tell you, when that demo dropped, holy crap. I went from sold to like, take my wallet! And while I didn't buy that extraordinarily expensive $300 edition, I did plunk down $100 to pick up that day 1 edition. So that's really it for all the games that I've bought so far this year. What games have you bought this year, and what would you recommend? Let's get a discussion going here, and let's all talk and chat about it. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you'd like some more great JRPG recommendations, please be sure to check out my video going over 5 abandoned and defunct JRPG series that we really do need to revive. The link to it is over in the comments and video description. And if you like what I do here on the channel, and you'd like to support me, please head on over to Patreon for early access to my videos and behind-the-scenes photographs. The links to it can be found in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.